Thank you, Senator Carper.
We're lucky to have you in our service.
Thank you, Senator Carper. Senator Hawley, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everybody, for being here, to the witnesses. Mr. Miller, if I could start with you. I want to try to understand what's happening with the Special Inspector General for Pandemic Recovery. This is, as you know, position that this body, Congress, created when we passed the CARES Act several years ago now. The Senate confirmed a nominee to lead that office. Multiple senators have referred complaints to that office. For example, on July 15, 2020, Senator Warren wrote to SIGPER calling for an investigation into a COVID lobbying palooza, those are her words, and stating her understanding that SIGPER was created, I'm quoting her again now, to investigate any fraud, waste, and abuse of Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES, funds. On August 6th of that year, 2020, 28 other senators, that includes me, wrote to SIGPER requesting an investigation into 43 Planned Parenthood affiliates that applied for and received CARES Act funds through the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, despite clear rules against that. My point is that multiple senators have referred multiple things to SIGPER. It's in the legislation. However, the Biden administration and DOJ, in consultation with OMB, stripped SIGPER of almost all of its jurisdiction pretty much as soon as it came to office in April of 2021. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. I mean, why has SIGPER been stripped of its jurisdiction? Why is it not able to perform its mandated functions? What's happening here?
Senator, thank you for the question. To clarify on this issue, so the disputes that you're referring to go back into the prior administration with regards to SIGPER's authorities. SIGPER went to OLC, the Office of Legislative Counsel at DOJ, which makes determinations for the executive branch regarding authorities when there are disputes within the executive branch. OLC consulted with OMB informally, as it would on any matter where it felt OMB's input would be useful. OLC determined that the legislation had specific authorities for SIGPER, and the executive branch follows what OLC determines.
So you're saying that OMB did not recommend that SIGPER be stripped of its jurisdiction? Is that your testimony?
OMB answered questions and input from OLC and did not make a determination. OLC made a determination.
Will you provide us with records of that communication?
It's occurred before my time. I would welcome follow-up discussion.
I'm just saying, wait a minute, the OLC OMB communication occurred before your time? It occurred under this administration, though.
I was sworn into office at the end of April.
But it occurred during the Biden administration, right? I don't particularly care when you were there. I care when it happened, and I care that you're there now and have some authority. So it doesn't matter to me when you are in office or not. It matters to me that you're before this committee, that presumably you've sworn an oath to answer to this committee the questions, and I'm asking you a direct question, whether you will give us the communications. I don't care if you were there or not.
I would welcome follow-up with you on this, Senator Hawley.
Is that a yes or a no or a maybe? Here's the deal. I want to know why in the world this administration has taken an act of Congress and gutted it. And that's what they've done with SIGPER. You've gutted it. And there are trillions of dollars that have, let's just review. The CARES Act spent more money than we spent on World War II. And we have no effective oversight, in my view, of how that money is being spent when it comes to waste, fraud, and abuse, because this administration has chosen to gut the IG system that was set up to oversee it. And I want to know why. And I want to know if we can get the information from it. That's my question to you.
This administration has taken active steps to reassert the role of IGs in providing oversight.
SIGPER?
OLC made a determination with regards to SIGPER's authorities. In 2020, actions were taken to undermine the IG community. We believe that IG roles...
Indeed, actions were taken to undermine the IG. In April of 2021, this administration gutted this IG. They gutted the IG that we created, that Congress created on a bipartisan basis, and that bipartisan groups of senators have referred information to. And now this entity can't carry on its work because your administration gutted it. So let me come back to my question. Will you provide this committee the communication between OLC and OMB regarding the decision to gut SIGPER?
If you are welcome to request
I'm requesting it now. That's what I'm doing.
We will look into the specifics of the communication and absolutely get back to you on that.
So is that a yes?
I would like to look into the specifics of the communication.
Yeah, that sounds like frankly, a non-answer to me. And unfortunately, that's been the case for a year now, since this administration gutted SIGPER. I've introduced legislation that would restore SIGPER's jurisdiction and restore its funding. Frankly, I think it's being funded on a shoestring budget. It needs to be funded more than it is. It needs to have the full resources to carry out its mission to oversee waste, fraud, and abuse and get to the root of it. And this a huge amount of spending that we did for an unprecedented crisis. But to do that amount of spending and to get the fraud reports that we've been getting and to not have SIGPER funded and with its jurisdiction fully intact, to me, is totally inexplicable. And I continue to be amazed that the administration is doing this. So I'll follow up with you, but frankly, I'm disappointed in your answer. Let me ask you about something else. Yesterday, the New York Times reported that the Biden administration is taking $377 million in federal emergency housing aid from states mostly controlled by Republicans, I'm quoting from the New York Times, and redirected that cash to states that have already used their allotted money, including New York, California, and New Jersey. Is there statutory authority for this?
I'm not familiar with the specific decision that you're referring to, but I'm happy to follow up with you on it.
So it's right here. Treasury shifts $377 million among states as pandemic housing aid dries up, from the New York Times. It's about the $46 billion in emergency rental assistance that this program enacted back in 2020.
It's a program that's critical to keeping people in their homes.
And so my question to you is there statutory authority to shift around almost $500 million from one state to another without the state's consent?
I would expect the Treasury only take action consistent with statutory authority. If they didn't, it would be inappropriate.
Okay, so that's a yes. You think there is statutory authority? What would it be? Can you direct me to the?
I would be happy to follow up with you on the specifics. Again, if Treasury took action that was inconsistent with statutory authority, that would be inappropriate, and I would hope that Treasury's IG would say so as well.
My time has expired here, and there are other senators who want to ask questions. I have a few questions for you, Mr. Turner, about some of the things that you have discovered in terms of delays and providing disaster relief. So I'll get those to you for the record. Sure. And thanks for the work you're doing. Thanks to you all for being here, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hawley. Senator Padilla, you're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the participation of all the witnesses here today. Let me begin.